Hey, how are you doing today? Super excited to bring this topic to you. It's come up twice. Dealing with some young men that I've been toting back and forth for a basketball tournament, and really seeing the major disconnect between what it takes to get from point A to point B and the real flaw in their expectation that somehow you can take a seed, plant it, and that it should produce fruit. And so I just wanted to take a few minutes to kind of talk about that, because I think it's really, really important that we understand with all things, there is a process of creation, period. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter what you're focused on. It doesn't matter what the space is that you're in. There is a process. There is a process of seed, soil, growth, which yields the fruit, right? You cannot get the fruit just from the seed. It has to go through a process. And what takes place in the soil is vital for the type of fruit you're going to receive and the experience you're going to have. So let's just kind of go through. And what I explained to them was, if you take an apple, it's fruit, right? And you take the seed out and you plant the seed, you're going to plant it in soil. But like they pointed out, you're going to need water, you're going to need sun, you're going to need a proper environment for the seed to grow, one that is conducive for it to grow. And what comes out first are the roots. It's got to make, and the roots, you may not see it, but it is inside the seed. The root is developing and creating the necessary space for it to be able to give nutrients to the stalk. The reason why the seed has grown is because the root has been activated for there to be a transmission of nutrients. So if you're growing something, that's your training, that's your learning, that's the aspect of you stepping out into the new space that you're moving into. And then from there, the stalk comes up. And the stalk is a branch, right? And it'll come up and it'll have one little teeny little leaf, most likely. But that branch is actually going to be the trunk at some point, right? It's connected to the base of the seed. And so that branch, that stem comes up, and you start to see things offshoot from it. And this is really important to understand, because at this point right now, there's no way that stalk could support fruit. It's not ready. It hasn't grown or matured to the point to be able to handle the weight of producing fruit. So what happens is, over time, it takes a while for that tree to become old enough, strong enough to start pushing out branches, start pushing out the different things that are necessary for it to grow. Un momento. Okay, sorry. Had a little situation. So anyways, what you have to think about is that branch, or the trunk of the tree is now forming, right? The roots have been developing and growing down below the soil where you can't see them. You can't see the amount of work and growth that has taken place in the soil to support the tree. So much unseen is what is supporting the actual tree, right? So from there, you go through this whole process of a new branch, new leaves. The leaves fall off. The branches continue to produce more leaves as the seasons change. So it keeps going through the cycle so that it can become a master of the cycle of winter, spring, fall, summer, winter, spring, fall, summer. So you're going through these cycles. There's stuff that's seen. You have, like, the leaves falling off can be considered the learning moments or failure. The new growth is the excitement of what's to come. But here's the thing. It's going to take several years before that tree produces its first flower. And that flower is the fruit, right? It doesn't just all of a sudden apple, on the tree. That's not what happens. First it's a flower, and then the flower falls off, and then the fruit starts to develop. Even in the fruit developing, there's still a process. The fruit has to grow to a certain size. Then it has to mature within. The sugars have to be cultivated and just created. And if you eat it too soon, you will get sick. You eat unripe fruit that is not at the point where the chemicals have turned into sugars, you'll get sick. It's not ready. It's not ripe. So you have to allow the fruit to go through the cycle too of creation, going from the beginning stage of it being a flower all the way to the point where it's ripe and you can eat it. Even within the creation, there's still the cycle of creation. So you liken that to any experience. You liken that to us having children before we're ready, before our branches are strong enough and our trunks and our roots are strong enough to support us, to be strong enough to keep us grounded properly. See, these are the things we don't think about. Like, what happens when children are born in scenarios, in situations where the branches can't support them? They're not ready. Or the fruit was picked and it wasn't right. And now it's being put into a situation where it's being planted, and now it's producing a new level of fruit that isn't up to par because of the fact that it's having to work harder. So one of the things that I think is really important is that we start really looking at what is going on in our community, the soils that we're planting ourselves in, and the things that we're feeding ourselves, because it's really toxic. And we have to get back to a place where we're honest with ourselves and we start taking personal responsibility for the things that are going on in our lives and the things that we are exposing our children to. It all matters, whether it's social media, whether it's television, whether it's sports, whether it's the food, whether it's the music. We're sending a message, and we have to make sure that our soil is solid. Our soil is filled with powerful nutrients so those roots can grow deep, and those roots can grow powerfully to be able to support the tree and that trunk so those branches can be grand and that fruit can be ripe. It really is up to us. So I told these young men, you're not in the NBA. You're not even close. You're still a seed. You have to allow for the fundamentals, the IQ to be developed so that you can have the branches to support the vision, to support the dream. You have to prepare your body. You have to prepare your mind. You can't expect to jump out on the court because you made a basket. Now we're celebrating you. You're not MVP because you had a branch come out. You have to allow the process and stop looking for something to happen overnight. The fruit will come, but you have to make sure you're willing to do the work to develop the soil, and you're willing to do the work to create the environment, and you're willing to have the patience to allow it to grow with joy and beauty amongst the way you develop your team and how you play the game. Sportsmanship is hugely important, and that takes patience and that takes support. And we as parents have got to do better in terms of the way that we're supporting our children and the way that we're supporting ourselves in terms of how we put ourselves out there. So with that being said, I hope you go plant a seed. I hope you pay attention to the soil, but most importantly, I hope you have patience to watch it grow and to really get dynamic, juicy, sweet fruit that's truly ripe. Have a great day. Michelle LLC from Think Like Therapy, Orgasmic Living, and coming soon, Orgasmic Couple. Super excited. All right, have a good one. Talk to you soon. Bye.